Hey, my love, and welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. If you're new, I'm Shannon, and this space is all about manifesting from the inside out, which means we do not pretend, we do not skip the deep stuff, we don't force anything. We have real conversations to help you live the life that you already know is yours. I'm going to put a disclaimer here real quick before we jump into the meat of anything. If you are watching this podcast on YouTube, I rolled out of bed this way. I did not get up and get dressed today. It is cold. I didn't want to, but I wanted to record. So here, hello world, this is me. I woke up this way aesthetic today, but it doesn't take away from anything that we are talking about, because in this episode is where we're going to bring everything we've been talking about regarding affirmations together. Because at this point, you already know the important back end stuff because you've been listening along for the past couple of weeks. So all of that makes sense to you to put that into practice. You know that your affirmations do not work when they are generic. You know that the desire isn't the problem, it's the belief standing between you and your desire. And you know how to get clear on what you want so you can identify that block, you can reframe it into a belief that actually opens the path forward. So the question now is, how do you take that belief and get it into your brain in a way that actually changes your life? In a way so that what you believe, what you think, this image that you have shows up in your 3D reality. That's what we like to say in the manifesting space. Oh, it's going to show up in your 3D reality. You're going to jump timelines. Jumping timelines just means you go from not experiencing something to experiencing something. And that's what today is about. This is the affirmation manifestation hack that makes everything else that we have been talking about work. And it is the embodiment piece. We touched on it a little bit last week, but we're going all the way into it this week. The first thing we need to continue to understand is that words alone are not changing our lives, okay? Once again, that repeating, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, that's not what's changing your life. The affirmation is where a lot of manifesting and mindset advice falls apart because we stop there. We just stop. You're told to repeat the affirmation. Maybe you're told to do it in the mirror. Maybe you're supposed to write it in a journal or say it a few times a day, and then nothing really happens. And it's not because those affirmations are useless. It's because words do not create the belief on their own. Your brain doesn't change because of language. It changes because of experience. And experience doesn't just come from words. Your experience is created through a combination of your thoughts, emotions, and actions. That is what embodiment is. Now, another term that you may have heard for embodiment is alignment, and it's the same thing. When people say, get on the frequency, get in alignment, that's embodiment. It's all the same thing. Some people like to use different words for it, but that's what it means. However, I know, because I was there in the beginning of my journey when people were like, you just got to get on the frequency. You just got to change your energy. You just have to get in alignment. And I was like, what the hell does that even mean? It means embodiment. Okay, well, Shannon, what the hell does that mean? That's not pretending that you already have what you want, in the sense of acting so delusional to the point that you feel like you're a fraud. It's not trying to be high vibe all day. Embodiment is letting your affirmation lead your thoughts, your emotional state, and your behaviors in small intentional ways. So consistently enough that your brain starts to accept this as the truth, as real, as the experience of your life, and as how affirmations and manifestation all work together. So I'm going to slow this down just a little bit, because this is truly the part that matters the most. Like, if you just get to the affirmation, if you just get to the reframe and you stop there, then what was really the point? You have to put it into practice in your life. And embodiment means that you are no longer treating your affirmation like a sentence that you say. You're treating it like a direction. Your affirmation tells you how to think. Your affirmation tells you how to feel. Your affirmation tells you how to behave. And I'm not saying all day, every day, but what I am saying is intentionally. And this is truly where a lot of people get stuck, especially people that I work with, that they don't even want to approach it, or they do approach it, is because they think embodiment has to be extreme. I gave an example about this last week that proves it doesn't have to be extreme to be something. Like, you don't have to force yourself through it or do it all day, every day to work. And most of the time that has like the opposite effect. If I'm just being honest with you, the more you force it, the opposite effect it has. I see a lot, and you're going to see a lot in the coming days about for the new year in January. Let's do this 30-day challenge where we're our most ideal next level self, and we're going to live that person strong for the next 30 days. And it's like this all in delusional type thing. Cool. I mean, you can do that. Like if you have the capacity, you can do that. You're going to get results from that. But most people don't have the capacity because of how our brains work. We don't want to go into fight, flight, or freeze. And that's what happens. And that's why usually going so balls to the wall has the opposite effect instead of treating it as a process to bring your brain along with you. Now, just because being super damn delusional can send you into fight, flight, or freeze doesn't mean you just sprinkle it in wherever. Consistency does mean daily. You have to do this daily. You have to be intentional, but 5 minutes count, 10 minutes count. Pausing simply before you make decisions, that counts. Your brain doesn't need you to live this belief 24/7. Remember, we talked about that last week with the whole money doesn't grow on trees things. But it does need repeated proof to solidify it because you want it to be in your brain, so you want to be consistent. But that's why I have one client who she didn't want to start. She's like, I want to do this so bad, and I believe in this so much. I just don't have the time. Like, I just don't have the time to put towards it because she was under the impression that it had to be something she lived 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year on full up here, high vibe, energy type stuff. And that's not the case. She has truly 5 minutes a day, if she's lucky, in the bathroom. And that's what she's working on manifesting out of. And we've seen the results of that even this week for breaks in her time, where she's getting time given back to her. So it's a beautiful thing to watch. But that's why she didn't want to start. Because you do need that repeated proof daily. 5 minutes will do it, y'all. 5 minutes will do it. Because if you go balls to the wall, I want you to think, well, we'll talk about this in a minute, but honestly, truly, like you said you were going to meal prep. You told yourself you're going to meal prep 7 days a week for every meal, and you go hard doing it, and you just like burn out so quickly. That burnout's really just your brain going into fight, flight, or freeze because it's something so dramatically different. Whereas if you decided, okay, I'm going to meal prep just my breakfast because my mornings are pretty rushed. So I'll go ahead and meal prep my breakfast to start out with. And you get really, really good at that. It becomes second nature. And then you add in your lunches. And then that becomes second nature and so on and so forth. Like that's bringing yourself along with you where you don't get burnt out. What is that burnout when we're talking about mindset or new habits? It's not that you're just too fucking tired to do it. It's trying to do too much too soon. And we see that a lot when we are working with our mindset, is that you're trying to push it so fucking hard, it shuts down. So we don't want to do that. But you do have to do it consistently. I don't care if you have 2 minutes. I don't care if you have 5 minutes. I feel like 20 minutes is ideal. But if you have to work your way there, fine. When I started, I had 7 minutes a day. And my only goal was to have more time a day. That was it. I wasn't trying to get the money. I wasn't trying to do anything but get the time. And I started with my 7 minutes and it opened up into like 20. And now I have so much time. I'm really trying to figure out what to do with it because I over manifested the overflow of time, y'all. The overflow of time. It's a beautiful thing. Now I want to fill it with meaningful things. And we do that with the embodiment piece. Let's talk about what embodiment looks like when you're doing it right. So say your affirmation is, I have the money I need to support the life I want without added stress. Then the affirmation becomes the lens. This is like, okay, great. I have the lens. I have the directions. So from there, your thoughts are going to naturally shift. Not because you're correcting yourself all day, okay? But because your belief is giving your mind a new storyline. So your thoughts could be, money doesn't have to come from pushing harder. It's normal to receive money without burning myself out. Support can come without pressure. I don't have to earn safety with my finances through exhaustion. Those thoughts are not hype. They're not a pep talk. These are logical extensions of the belief that you're building. Then comes your emotions. And this part is so important. And I really feel like we don't talk about this enough, but they're the most powerful energy. I feel like when we do talk about emotion, it goes into that toxic positivity little bowl, that you always have to be positive. But we're not talking about just keep happy thoughts. We're talking about once I have the desire, how will I feel? The feelings attached to the desire and you living it every day. The felt experience of having the thing. So when you sit with that affirmation and you're asking, what does it feel like to already have that? The answers can be whatever those feelings are for you, your feelings. And please try to stay away from like happy. It's very general. Like for me, when I work with my clients, I tell them be super ass specific. Like, what's the real? Okay, I'm gonna be happy. Well, what do you mean you're gonna be happy? Like, get specific with it. Is it relief? Is it steadiness? Is it freedom? Are your shoulders dropping? What does that feel like? Are you not bracing for impact anymore? What does that truly feel like to you? And it can be more than one emotion. It can be several emotions because typically we feel several emotions at one time. So I have this desire. What are those emotions? And the emotions, that's what tells your brain, here's the evidence. Because your subconscious does not care if it's real or quote unquote fake. You're telling it it's true with your emotions. And when I say real or fake, we think of real as I'm experiencing it in my 3D, and we think of fake as I'm not having that physical experience yet. But it is real internally, because remember, what happens on the inside, it has to happen on the inside first for it then to happen on the outside. So really the reality starts within you. And then comes your actions. And I'm not talking about forced actions, not like what can I do to make this happen faster type action, where you're going to go and get, 3 side hustles from panic because you're trying to have more money. It's not that. What it really is what would go naturally with the thoughts and the emotions. What goes naturally with that? So that could look like when you get a bill in the mail, you don't spiral or get really annoyed with it. Or maybe you don't avoid looking at your bank account. Or maybe when you do look at your bank account, you look at it happily, whether it's a penny or $100. Like you feel the same way about it, because how would she feel about that money that comes to her easily with no stress? Maybe it's not getting a big amount of money and then trying to pay for everything ahead of time just in case there's not any money later. And I put this example in here because some of the people that I work with start businesses. My husband went into self-employment some years ago. I'm like half and half because I still work with a nonprofit. But some people that I work with are all in business. And so when they get that big payout or that big client, they take that bigness and they're like, okay, well, let me just pay up all of my bills for the next 3 months, just in case, it slows down again. I'm going to do that. Well, if you believe money supports your life without stress, that it's coming to you and that it's supportive, it's going to always support your life, even 3 months down the road. But when my life started to change and it was different than relying on a paycheck from a job, right? From an employer, that's something I had to do in my money manifestations, is not try to like have this fear that money's not going to come later, right? Like it's inconsistent because that's what we're taught. Being an employee is secure. Being the owner, maybe not so much, but that's the mindset shift right there. So for anybody who's in that space, that is for you. But remember, when you're a person, when you're that woman, if that is your affirmation, and this is just an example, you believe money supports your life in a way that's not stressful. So you can pause and you can breathe and you can handle things from a place of trust instead of urgency. And that is the behavior that's now reinforcing the belief. And your brain is registering, saying, oh, okay, well, this is how we respond. This is how life is. And then your pathway is locked in. And that's why embodiment accelerates manifestation, because your brain doesn't need proof in the future. Your brain does not need proof in the 3D world and your reality. It needs evidence in the present moment internally, and then that reflects externally. So when your thoughts reflect your belief and your emotions mirror it and your actions match it, then your brain is updating that belief automatically, and then it's coming into your life. And that is the affirmation manifestation hack that you need to know, because it is not just saying words like we've been taught. It is living in the direction of the affirmation. Once again, you don't have to do this all day, every day. You don't have to monitor every single thought. You need intentional moments. So once again, those 5 minutes of consciously stepping into the thoughts and letting yourself feel those feelings and choosing the response that matches the belief instead of the old pattern is enough to train your brain. because consistency is going to be intensity every time. I think it's a perfect example, but mindset work is just like going to the gym. So you aren't in the gym 24/7, 365 because you're like, that's the only way I'm going to get strong and healthy. You do intentional workouts for a set amount of time daily. And hello, you even put on the calendar freaking rest days, but you still get the results. Also, when you're going to the gym and you're lifting weights, you don't lift weights that you can't lift that are going to pull a muscle. Because if you're like somebody who's only lifting a 5-pound weight, maybe you might transition to like a 10-pound one, but you're not going all the way to 50 because you're like, I'm going to pull a muscle, I'm going to pull my back, and then I'm just going to be stuck on the couch. I'm not even going to be able to work out anymore. All the progress I've made is going to go out the window. I'm going to have to start all over again. So we don't go into a gym and we do that. And the same thing applies with mindset work. When I was talking about going into that fight, flight, or freeze, embodiment is an intentional workout that you do for a set amount of time daily so that you don't go crazy with it and go into that fight, flight, or freeze. That's going to keep you stuck, and now you have to recover, because if you get into that survival interruption, you'll probably be stuck there for a little bit until you can recover, and then you have to go back and try again. So that's why we want to be consistent without going fucking crazy with it, just to be real. I know a lot of people like just go crazy with it, but that's not the way, because then you're just going to get stuck. You're going to pull something in your nervous system, in your mind, and you're going to be stuck there. I don't want that for you. So we need to do this in a natural way. Now, I really want you to think of the gym, keeping that in your mind. Have you ever started a health journey or a workout journey and wondered exactly what to do? I have recently joined a gym because I want stronger muscles for stronger bones. I'm getting to that age, all of that stuff. And I want to make sure my bones are strong. And I knew I had to do resistance training. And I went and I was like, okay, I know how to use an elliptical. Like, that is literally the only thing I know how to do at a gym, because I've never actually had a gym membership before. But I know how to use an elliptical. But what else do I do for that resistance training? I didn't know what to do. So I reached out to my expert fitness daughter, who told me how to do the resistance stuff. She came with me. She showed me how. How often should I do it? She helped set me up on a plan. She showed me how to use the equipment. So I didn't have to guess. So I didn't have to sit there, because like the first machine she showed me, I was like, how do you even use this damn machine? Like how do you do it? And she's short, like I'm short. And she showed me everything, like how to make it fit my shortness so I could reach, and all of the stuff, because I was doubting myself. And that's a lot of times what happens at this part, in the embodiment part of mindset, is we start doubting ourselves and we start feeling unsure. And that's where we need help, because we know our brain can change, but then we're asking things like, am I choosing the right thoughts? Am I embodying this correctly with my feelings? Are these the feelings that I have? I don't know. Like, are my actions actually aligned? Are they all matching up? Am I going in the same direction? And that uncertainty slows down progress. Like, had I not asked my daughter for help at the gym, I would only be on the elliptical every single time I go, straight up. But that's also why I put the Affirmation Alchemist inside the Coaching on Demand library. So it's your personal trainer that removes all that guessing. It's like how my daughter helped me in the gym. That is me helping you with your manifestation and mindset to get you moving with that aligned action so you can do it faster. So you already have the custom GPT that you guys have been downloading and getting. And so now if you go into the Coaching on Demand library, you're going to have the Affirmation Alchemist that shows you how to take that specific affirmation and what thoughts, emotions, and actions are going to guide you to embody it so it's clear instead of feeling abstract. So if you don't already have access to the library, I'm going to link it in the show description, or you can go to manifestshe.com/coaching on demand. That way you can spend your energy actually putting the affirmation into action and not wondering if you're doing it right, so you can make progress towards what you want. And as we close out today, I want you to remember that affirmations don't change just because you're repeating them like a parrot. They change your life when they become the internal compass that you're moving from. And that moving is when your thoughts are aligning to your emotions that reflect having it, to the actions that you take, not from panic, but from trust. That is when the belief becomes automatic. That's when it becomes ingrained in that subconscious to be solidified within you, so that your external world has no choice but to rearrange to match it, so that you're living it every day. So I want you to go forth. I want you to go embody that affirmation. and I will chat with you next week.